Hello, welcome to this episode of the Mayhem Lab. Today we wanted to recap on Kevin's first implant that he got a couple weeks back. All right, so as you saw in the previous video, I received my NFC chip, which was implant number 5 for me, and Kevin got his very first RFID implant. So kind of interested to follow up. It's been a couple of weeks now to see how it is, how it's working, issues that he has experienced being a new implantee. So.
Yep.
Kevin, what's life like as a robot?
So yeah, as a robot, I tease Michael. I call myself a robot because accurately I'm a cyborg.
Correct.
Not an android, a cyborg. Yeah. So yeah. Let's see. It went really well. So after we put it in that day, like by that night, the bleeding had stopped. Well, the bleeding stopped pretty quickly. Like the Band-Aid fell off that evening, and I didn't need to put a new one on. It's 2 weeks later. You can see where it went in. I don't think you can see that very well on this camera, but there's just a little red dot where it went in. I think for the first couple days, like if I pushed on it, it was a little sore. I felt kind of weird pushing on it, so I didn't know, so I didn't push on it very much. I think it was probably, we did it on a Saturday, and I think it was probably Tuesday or Wednesday you and I programmed it in the office, and it worked just fine.
Yeah, pretty sure that was a Tuesday.
Yeah. And I know sometimes with yours, I'd seen you had to get pretty close to a reader to get it to register, but like I know, I'm waving this an inch or more away from the reader, and it beep and click, and so yeah, I think we've got it pretty shallow, which is nice. Trying to see if I can find it if I work hard enough. I don't like to, but yeah, I can feel it right there, and on my skin, it pretty much feels the same as like on my dogs, where we've got the chip in the back of their neck. When you're petting them, you can find it sometimes, and that's kind of what I feel on my hand.
Okay, so you can locate it, because like for instance, my RFID implant, which was my first as well, I don't think I could find it if I needed to. I mean, it's actually pretty deep. My NFC chips on top of my hand, I think, are very easy to find, and as you've noted, I play with them, I fidget with them quite a bit. And I can find one of my NFC chips in my right hand webbing, but I can't find my RFID in my left hand where it's in the webbing. And I don't know if it's because of it's too deep, or if it's significantly smaller, because I have a very old RFID chip. Your technology is a little bit different.
So maybe that's why the read distance is more as well.
Yeah, that's what got me to thinking. So I need to see if I can procure me some of them newfangled chips. So cool. So you weren't upset. I don't think you cried too much during the implant.
I haven't watched the implant video yet. I don't know.
Well, it's up there. You can watch it anytime.
I know.
Cool. So any issues with the implant?
No, well, I was telling you about the one. I went to give blood yesterday, and at first, they certainly don't have a question on the questionnaire about, do you have an implant?
Do you have a chip?
But I knew it's something I should talk to them about. So one of the questions was if you've gotten a piercing in the last month or something like that. So I marked yes on that, and then we went to sit and sat down to talk. And the one I'm talking with, I'm like, well, she's like, well, you got a piercing. Tell me about that or whatever. And I said, well, let me tell you.
Let me tell you a story.
I said, you know those microchips you put in your dog so you don't lose your dog? I said, oh, I got one of those in my hand. We put it in a couple weeks ago. And she's like, oh, that's not a very big deal. That should be fine. I need to call my supervisor over to figure out how I put that into the system. Because there's not like a place to put that.
There's not an RFID check mark?
Yeah. But that shouldn't stop you from giving blood. And she calls the supervisor over, and the supervisor asks, well, where did you have it done? And I said, well, they won't do it in like a piercing or tattoo place, so we did it at home. She's like, oh, well, you can't give blood then, because we don't know if that was a clean, safe place to do that. You have to not give blood for a year, which I think is the same as if I had done a piercing at home or a home tattoo or something like that. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
when you were telling me that earlier, and I found that interesting. A whole year, a year seems, I guess, in my personal opinion, a bit excessive. I can see 3, 6 months, something like that, but an entire year seems, I don't know, long to not
Yeah.
be able to
Yeah.
donate blood. It's funny. I think this is a very different, different thought process that you had, because I've given blood. My first implant was in 2016, I think it was. So back then, it was right after I got back from one of my trips, and I know that I have given blood since then, and I have received multiple implants over the years, because I do not consider them piercings nor tattoos. So when I read the same check box that you read that said, "Did you get a piercing?" I, in my head, went, "No,
No.
I don't have a piercing. I don't have a tattoo. I don't,
Yeah.
it just, it wasn't like me being, malicious or something.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. So I think that's very interesting way to think
Well,
about
and
it.
there was another question that I didn't answer yes to, but was thinking about, which was, in the past, I don't know what period of time, have you used a needle to inject a substance into your body that wasn't prescribed by a doctor? I'm like,
Oh,
it's not. They're
okay.
definitely talking about a drug there.
Right.
So I'm like, no, I'm not going to say yes to that one. I'll say yes to the piercing one. We'll talk about it then.
Wow. That's very interesting, because yeah, I think this is what, this is the kind of education I love, is hearing other people's stories and stuff. And yeah, it's a whole new way to think about it. I mean, I probably shouldn't give blood. I mean, I haven't in a while, just due to time constraints, really. But yeah, no, it's a very interesting thought, because I've probably had an implant at least once a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and certainly they want to make, the same rule applies whether it's, some teenager in their, room, like piercing their ears with a pin and a potato.
right,
Like,
right.
whereas we're definitely like, sterilizing everything and everything like that. So I'm
Right.
not,
No,
but they can't like, I wasn't going to talk them into it. I kind of tried a little bit, like, well, the whole kit comes with all this cleaning stuff. She's like, yeah, it doesn't matter.
yeah. You could have sent her the YouTube video. It's on
Yeah.
YouTube. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and it's funny because I got back to my car and like looked at my phone, and you had just posted the video. I was literally walking out of the blood donation place.
Oh, that's funny.
And the other funny thing about it is, like, you don't want to try and explain this to people, or even what it is, like RFID or whatever. So like the way I was explaining was like, hey, you know how you get your chip put into your pet, like a microchip in your pet. Well, I got one of those in my hand, and like all but one of the people I said that to, there were probably like 3 or 4 or 5, because everybody was asking me why I wasn't giving blood then when I was leaving. All of them asked, "Are you worried you're going to get lost?"
Yes. Yeah. So the joke is, we can find Kevin when he gets lost. we can just scan him and know he's ours.
Yeah. Or at the very least, they won't put me down if I make it to the pound.
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah.
Like, no, really. Oh, but it's not in the back of your neck. They're not going to know where to look.
True. Yeah.
No, that's funny. Good, but everything's working okay. Obviously, it's healed well. Use it on a daily basis.
Well, not anymore, because we
Well,
don't go to the office.
okay, fair enough. Once we get back into the office, we will start using these again.
So I'll let you know in like 6 to 8 months.
Well, let's hope it's before that. But yeah, awesome, cool.
Or I'll have to install some RFID locks here around the house. Put them on the fridge in the pantry.
Just for giggles, right?
Yeah.
Just because you want to use it.
I can monitor who's getting in and getting food.
There you go. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing. Appreciate it, and we'll talk again soon.
Sounds good. Thanks.
See you, man. Bye, guys. So, Kevin, that really cool thing we did in today's video,
Yes, that was very cool.
that was neat. Do you think we should do that again?
We should do something different, but even more cool.
Yeah. You know, what'd be cool is if they would comment what they liked about it, and then we could do something else.
Like, respond and then do something on that.
Yeah.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah. And if you really liked it, go ahead and subscribe and click the thumbs up button so we know you like the content.
Great plan.